everybody for attending, and it's been a great day so far. What I'm going to present my desktop, that would help because I'm talking at my screen. Present my desktop. Can you see that, Mark?
We can indeed, yeah.
Excellent. So let me quickly go into who am I. So I am Carl Cookson. There's my blog and my LinkedIn, my Twitter handle. I'm on LinkedIn as well under Carl Cookson. I work for Avanade UK as a global systems integrator, working with enterprise clients normally. What we're talking today, we're in field service, obviously, but there's a lot you can, because you've got the power of Power Automate, you've got all the tools around it. We need to make sure that we're interacting with our customers as best we can. So what we're going to do is quickly run through a scenario, quickly look at who we want to connect to. We've only got half an hour, so I'm going to quickly run through some Alexa concepts, etc. But look at the skill that I've built that's making available to that scenario that we're going to start with, and then we're not going to make a skill from scratch because of the time limits. But I'll go through the one that's there, and then introduce the flow that's been built and some key points of that flow that lead me to allow this solution to work. And then we'll look at bringing it all together, showing you how it's working, and going through any next steps. So who needs a interaction? Alexa devices are everywhere, whether they're Alexa or iPhones or any of the rest of them. We've got them everywhere. And for a lot of people like Gladys here, they're really dependent on them. They can interact with them without picking up the phone, where they've got fingers and physical disabilities to do that. And it's really a great way of customers to get hold of you and to book a service, a time for you to communicate with them or to do something in their home or for them. So providing those methods helps Gladys. It also helps busy mums and parents that can't interact with your call centres during the day. And talking about call centres, it's a way of reducing the stress on those call centres, making sure that they're getting the interaction they need. Our customers are getting the interaction we need, but not increasing the number of people in your call centres, particularly in these COVID times. And it's important for Alice that she can communicate whenever she likes, at 3 o'clock in the morning when the baby gets her up, or just as school starting, and not have to queue and waste her time talking to a person. And finally, this one that resonates with me is those guys that don't like interacting, those guys that sit at their computers all day and want to interact with you, but not actually speak to someone. And Alexa is a great tool for that, to allow that interaction to take place. So our scenario. So what we're talking about is Big Energy, a fictitious company that is a provider of gas and electricity power supplies, as well as moving into servicing your boiler and your central heating, as well as providing cover for your electricity. There's obviously a lot of big names in the UK that currently do that, and probably across the world. But they want to be retain customers, and they want to ensure that they are efficient when they do that. And one of the ways the CTO has basically envisaged this is to make use of all the tools that are available to him. He's got field service, he's sending out his engineers to do all these bookings, but that first point of contact, he thinks, to show that they are forward thinking, and they are ready for the future, embrace these new technologies and ensure that we've got a link to that technical, and break that interaction barrier that he seems to have between his call center and the customers, letting them do it on their own terms. So he wants to be seen as a technical leader, and ensure that he retains customers, because we all know that retaining customers is a lot easier than getting new ones. So the idea is to replace this current process. The customer rings in and they wait and they wait and they get through to a service engineer who books their boiler visit. What they want to do is ask Alexa for that boiler service. Alexa will then check if they're a customer. If they're not, we'll prompt them to do that interaction. Actually, we'll have to talk to them to bring them on board. If not, it books that service, it creates the work order, and then we've got a confirmation that needs to come through. So a very quick interaction with us. You know, we've asked the customers told us what's wrong, whether it's a service, an emergency, or a breakdown. They'll give us a date, and they'll give us enough information that we can pretty much say when we need to do it. We need to confirm that, obviously, because of timetables at our end, but it's giving that customer a really quick, great interaction with it all. Let me just check. Yeah, so let me just go through a quick introduction of Alexa and how it works. So we all know about these Alexa devices. Alexa is always listening. Mine isn't at the moment, but usually is always listening, and is looking out for key invocations. I can't say that word today. To allow it to interact with it. Alexa, what time is it? Alexa, play me BBC News, that sort of thing. And then that gets processed firstly on the device. And if it hears that trigger phrase, it will then send it up to the web through their own APIs, where the invocation is looked at and processed and decides where to send that interaction going on. That interaction is sent to an API, a web service, where we then respond to that, do something with that information and respond back, converting it into speech along the way. So this is what I was just saying. We had that voice request. It gets converted to an audio stream only if Alexa device decides that she's right, that you've got the right terminology, you're using that keyword Alexa. We convert it to an audio stream. Alexa then does a bit more crunching on it and work out which of the invocations you've registered on your device that it wants to call. We send a JSON request, and this is where Flow comes in, Power Automate comes in. We have got a interaction at that point, and we need to do something simple and quick at that point to allow that interaction to be quick and seamless to the user, rather than waiting the 5-10 seconds, which isn't a good experience. We just need to check that they're registered and then return the data, and we return a positive response to say, oh great, yeah, we know we've registered your call, we'll send an engineer around, and then that is all responded in JSON. That's converted, goes through the Alexa cloud, converted to speech, and is then presented to the end user. And we need to make sure that this is a couple of seconds at most, and that's how we get that quick interaction and a limited amount of information. There's a lot more you can do with that JSON response to allow it to be visualized, because a lot of the Alexa devices nowadays have a small screen, so you can present information to them. But that's the simple crux of what we're doing here. So let me just go and show you the one that I made earlier, which I need to find. Where is it? Not that one. So we're in the Alexa developer console. Anyone can sign up for an Alexa developer account. It's free. There are, just sign your life away effectively. When you build these up to production skills, which is what they're called, you need to go for some certification and etc. to make sure that it's appropriate, and you're not going to upset the market or Amazon. They are easy to build, and what we need to do is to step through this build. So invocation is the first word and the first thing, and this is the key words that you would use to trigger your skill. In this instance, it's Big Energy. So I would be saying, Alexa, tell Big Energy to service my boiler. So that's the very first thing. That's the thing that's key to you and is unique to the skills that you have on a device. It may not be unique across the world, but it'd be a good idea if it is. And then we've got intents. Intents are the top level. As you'll see here, that I've got the standard out of the box intents, which are basically, Alexa, cancel my thing that you were doing, or can you help me, or stop, or navigate to a screen, etc., or go home. And these, the ones that we built out here,
sorry,
are sorry, Someone speaking? What? No.
Not really. Just keep going.
Okay. So there's some of the intents here, and we break them into utterances. So this is basically saying these are the ways that I want to say I need a service. So big energy, send someone to service my boiler, send someone to fix my fridge, book me a service for Monday. And these intents are effectively listings of phrases and ways of saying
We'll
that.
be able to pin those things on space to help more easy.
When we see that these are slots which hold data for your service. So you could say, device being boiler or fridge. If you see the device here, we can see that we've got a custom list. He says, where's it gone? It's a custom list of the things that are available to you. And I've made this up. So I've put in all of these types of device, and I've also, you can add synonyms here. So you could say that, TV, people colloquially would know that as telly, fridge, freezer, that sort of thing. So all of these things are ways of saying that, and Alexa builds up this AI model of this to allow you to ensure you know what device is what. And the other part of the intents that we saw are, where is it? Service. Is this date, and this is an out of the box freely available slot that allows you to for the user to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., and that for Alexa to intelligently know what date they're after. So you would get the actual date in that scenario, and then each of these is built out. You build it up, you keep going, you learn from what people are saying, you learn from the testing yourselves, etc., and you build these up to comprehensive list of things that need to be done. I've gone for very simply 3 intents, which are straightforward for our scenario with a big energy company. So when I go to test, and hopefully if I turn my desktop sound on to you, you might be able to hear a respond. You can use your voice here, but all we're doing is going through the motions. It's doing a bit of processing. It's firing it off to
Hi, we have received your request for a service for your boiler. We will endeavour to send an engineer on the 18th of August 2020. One of our support specialists will contact you within the hour to confirm the scheduled time for our engineer.
So what we've done there is it's done all that that passage that we've already said. We've gone, it's decided what we're going to do. It's passed that information passed in this JSON input to our Power Automate, and Power Automate has responded. So this is all the information that you're getting, and you can see that it's got dates in there. It's got the intent that we said, which was a service. And did we say boiler? So that boiler will be here as well as the device, so we know it's a boiler. So we're getting that information readily from the customer that will quickly transfer to a work order. So if we go back to the build, we'll just see how that's linked up between Alexa and Power Automate. We have a web call, and you can see here this is the call that is in my, let me find my other environment. That's not the one. When a HTTP is received. So hopefully understand flow. I'm not going to go into details here, but that URL corresponds to this URL here. So when we come into this URL, once it's triggered, we get past that JSON object. And what we're doing in this Power Automate is initializing some variables. This is just sending me an email, so I can get what was sent just for some testing. Initializing some variables. The first thing we need to do, and is very important in the Alexa world, is you're only allowed, you have to give consent. The user has to give consent for you to share your details with an app, a skill. And what every request that gets sent out comes with is an API access token. So this is a time-framed token that allows you to go and ask for information about the person that sent that interaction, and see if you've got permission to read that information. So in this scenario, I've got past that token, and I can use it for a couple of minutes to say, right, this is Dave. He's allowing you to have his email address, and carry on. So I need to make a request of Alexa into a specific API, asking for their email address. And if I haven't got that, if I get a 200, then I'm good to go, and I can carry on. If I'm not good to go, then I need to respond to Alexa. So respond, HTTP response. There's special JSON formats for not having permission. There's quite a few other ones as well that you could build up, but that's basically saying I need the permission for you to send read your email address that you've registered on your device. Go and ask for it. Go and click some buttons on your device, or register the app on your phone, a link to your Alexa account. So that gives us that permission. And that's all I can do. I can't go any further because I can't even tell who called me at this point if I don't have this permission. If I do have permission, then I need to look them up. So I'm getting the email from that request that I sent out, converting it just to an email address, and then effectively searching for contacts with that email address. There could be a lot more to this step. There could be, oh, are they registered for the service? Do we have all this information about them? Are we, have they got a valid service contract, etc.? And it builds up that your ability to then query that data. Once we've got that key bit of information that everyone knows is that email address. But for this scenario, we're just going to check whether we've got one. So we have got one. If not, we're asking them to actually give us a ring. So you can see that we've built in up this output speech, which is what Alexa would say. And there's also this the card, which is what would display if you've got a visual device, and giving them a bit more information. That's maybe you could put pictures in there, etc., if you wanted to. So you could build up that functionality. But basically, if they're not a customer, get them to call and register. But you could use that as a marketing exercise. You could register that as a new contact at that point, and go from there, because they've shown interest in you by giving Alexa a message. Therefore, they may be of interest to you as a new account, a new contact. But if we are happy with them and we have got the customer, what we now know to give them is a response based on the intent that we got back. And you can see here, I'm just doing a simple case statement of the intent. If they ask for a service, we give them a body back, which includes the keyword service, and then we do a little bit of checking to see whether they passed in whether it was a boiler or not, and then we can obviously put that back to give that back to them, giving it positive feedback that we've understood what they wanted, rather than just taking in their request, and the date that they've asked for. So if they've given us a date, we feed that back to them, which is great to a positive interaction with the company. You've listened, you've got all the information they've asked for, you're ready to book my service, and we're good to go. And this is the same with the others that we build up a body. So very simple. And then we respond. And we're responding here because we haven't done anything within Dynamics yet, created anything, but like I was saying earlier, that quick response is a key for that customer interaction. They don't want to be waiting for the creation of the records and doing the other things. And I know it's got a lot quicker. And when Ben saw this presentation September, October last year, he did raise the fact that this is all possible now. So, but it is, and it's a lot quicker than it was. So we could probably do a lot more with that, checking the schedule, prioritizing the call, etc. But for this at the moment, we're basically allowing the scheduler to go and do that next step. And that's down to your business requirements, whether you want to be able to automate that or take the next step and contact the user. Depending on your business, obviously, your business model might need more information that you couldn't provide over Alexa. So all we're doing here is providing a positive response with the body that we've said and just a token that will give you a shout in the next hour. So that will then obviously give the user confirmation that you've listened and you've got it, and they don't have to repeat themselves, but also respond quickly. And then what we do after that is we just go and get the account and contact from that contact that's been selected, and then we pass into a child flow, which is that URL there, details that we've already got. So rather than having to go and get all these stuff again, we know the contact and the account, we know the name, and then we go and send in the date that was sent in as well. And if we go to that child flow, again, we're on HTTP request, so we're doing a secondary flow. We're going to go and get the account using that identifier that was passed in. We're going to go and get work order type. So the only field that we added for this was a intent against work order type. So each of the intents that I've got would be qualified to a different work order types. There might be a nicer name or something you call it on your environment, and we could use the name and sync them up, but it depends on how you want to work it. So we've got the work order type. We then just get the first one, because this always returns a list, and then we create a new work order. So we're basically setting a new work order. We're passing in a random number because of the work on number is a required field. We need to get the price list and fill in all these required fields. The account ID is the one that we've already got. Work order IT type is already one we've got. The contact is the guy that spoke to us via Alexa. And finally, where's it gone? We put a start and end date in. So these are the dates that they've requested it for. So bringing all that together, we should be able to see the work order that was just generated in, yeah, it is here. This is the one that was generated. So this work order is scheduled. It's got a price list. It's against that account. Where's just to check the primary contacts, not there. Probably put it to the wrong one, didn't I? We've got settings. We've got a date that they've requested it for. Oh, we've got reported by contact. So this is me. If you look at this email address, demo data, but the email address is there. Yes, this is my email address. So you can see that it's now ready for someone to go and do book it, work out whether that date is suitable, set the engineer up, etc., like you would do. And you've been talking about the rest of the day, and I don't think I need to go into that because it's probably telling you guys to suck eggs. And so that is really is the idea that Alexa, you're building up the Alexa skill, you're building up that interaction with the user, you're using workflow, Power Automate and Flow to connect the two together, and then you go from there. You've got that interaction that's not cost you that customer service agent sitting at the desk and waiting for that call. You've got that quick and easy interaction with the user that they're now thinking, well, they're great at customer service. They give me all these ways of interacting with them, and you've got to a point where you've got enough information to go and do that booking. So it's a very simple and straightforward way of linking those two worlds together. You've got the world of the end users that have all got these devices, and the world of your customer service agents that are just waiting for those calls. And having that interaction is a great boon to every business. So let me just go back to the presentation and just go through some bits at the end. We've done that. Right. So for me, the next steps for you guys and the call to action is really is to play with Alexa or Google or the iPhone equivalent Siri. They're available to you, and most of them are free and easy to use. and just try and build up that understanding of your customers by introducing them into your field service world and getting that interaction with them. And from there, you can move on to leveraging them as new customers and keep going on with that journey. And that's me. I think I've given you a few minutes back. Mark, any questions in there?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions. Davey's asking, is the access token that you have used in Power Automate the same as the authentication token?
So that again, let me show you that again.
Yeah, so is the access token that you have in Power Automate the same as your authentication token?
No, the access token is unique to that session. This API access token here is what we're talking about.
I believe so, yeah.
So this is specific to the user's session. So this is saying, I, as me that was talking to you just then on my Alexa, this is me, this is what I'm doing, and this is the session, and they keep a log of that session to allow you to then go and get the rest of the profile. So that profile isn't publicly available. You need to give it that access token. You haven't got access to all of them. You need to get an individual's users rights to use their data, so they need to sign up.
Hopefully that answers that one for you, Davey. We do have another one. Did you have to write any custom code for that Alexa skill to work?
No.
Nope.
No. Well, custom code as in it's a flow, but that's it. So the invocation, there's no code. There's no code in here. This is basically telling me to go and use their API. So all it is like the Power Virtual Agents, you're basically building up intents and invocations, and you're giving it a load of phrases. So this intent here is where you would start building up those invocation, the intents with a lot of sample utterances, and that's all you need to give it. And it's a lot easier than if you were using virtual agents at this point, you would have that whole framework behind it. But at this point, it's basically passing this call with the information that it's got to your API. You can do a lot more with it in terms of interacting with the users. There's lots of ones about quizzes, etc. But for this simple one, it's very much gather the information, send it across, and get a response. That's all we need to do. Awesome. So there's no code.
Perfect. Do you want to share all your social media again, just so everyone can find it, and maybe ask you any questions they didn't want to ask in front of people?
Yeah, I'll start from there.
There we go.
And thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a good rest of the day and the rest of the conference.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Great session.
Thank you, Mark.
So we will now jump on to a session on field service mobile application and Power Virtual Agent.